What's going on, guys? This is Jeff Kriglich here, and I just got done my speed lower workout, and one of the things that I did during that workout is I worked with the sandbag. Now, in this video, what's going on, guys? This is Jeff Kriglich here, and I just got done one of my speed lower workouts, and in that workout, one of the things that I used was a sandbag. Now, as you can see, we've got a bunch of sandbags here at Jay's gym, and I like to use them for a variety of different things. And in this video, what I'm going to do is make a case as to why I think the sandbag is one of the most crucial pieces of equipment that you can own right now if you're in quarantine, and something that you should use a heck of a lot once quarantine is over and gyms are fully reopened, not just at some sort of capacity, because obviously restrictions are still going to be in place. Now, one of the big reasons why I like the sandbag is it is extremely functional. For example, one of the first things that I actually use strongman in terms of carrying over to a real life situation, my dad reached out to me one time and he was like, "Hey Jeff, I have some 50-pound bags of mulch that I need to be lifted. Do you think you can help me out?" And I was like, "Dad, I think you can actually do it." And he was kind of taken aback because, well, he's in his early 60s now. He's had back problems, shoulder problems. He's been a master electrician his entire life, and he's always been working with his hands, so his body's a little bit beat up. But I told him, I was like, there's a right way to do things, and the example that I gave him was how I picked up a sandbag. So I decided to come over and I helped my dad out. And when we were doing this, I picked it up how I would normally pick up a sandbag. Put my fingers underneath, crushed my hands, shook it back and forth, found a way to get a grip on the bag, and picked it up. Breathed and braced, obviously, because if not, that's not going to be kosher. And it was funny because once my dad did the exact same thing, he looks at me and he said, "I didn't feel like anything." I was like, "I bet you can do another one." And he had 6 bags, he did them all himself. So that's one of the big things that I like about the sandbag, is it carries over to a lot of real life activities, not just a bag of mulch, but it can also carry over to a lot of other things. But in terms of actual strength training, for me, one of the biggest reasons why I like the sandbag is because there's no grip tools. It's just going against you, and you got to squeeze that bad boy as hard as you possibly can. Now, there are many different ways that you can pick up the sandbag, carry the sandbag. For me personally, I like to lay it long ways, just like that one right there. Now you can have it standing up just like this Cerberus bag here, and then kind of squeeze it from the middle and walk with it. But it all depends on your body type, your arm length, and what you're most comfortable with in terms of breathing and bracing. Because let's say you have a max distance carry, for example, and you pick it up, you feel like the bag is kind of going all over the place, and you're kind of struggling a little bit. You're not breathing all that well. You're not going to do that well in that event. It's not going to last very long for you because your body's going to give up, and well before your legs probably should. Your upper body and your breathing is probably going to quit on you before your legs probably should. Now, me personally, the sandbag is a great conditioning tool. Whether it's just for a simple 50-foot run, whether it's done for 50-foot runs in succession with short rest, whether it's max distance runs where your hamstrings and back and pretty much everything is going to hate you. But another reason that I like the sandbag is its versatility. You can literally do just about anything with it. Not only can you carry it for short runs, as I mentioned, or long runs, you can also carry it and load it. You can also just simply load it. And for me, one of the biggest assets that I've found about the sandbag since quarantine started is we've got a lot of stuff here. Like, Jay and I have brought a lot of gear into his basement, as you can see. And unfortunately, we don't have an Atlas stone. We don't have Atlas stones. We don't have a stone of steel. So we've had to find things that we can load. So I have my power keg here, and Jay's got a couple sandbags. I got sandbags, and that's what we've been using. And the sandbag has been great because, as I mentioned before, there's no grip aid, similar to an Atlas stone, unless you have tacky, of course. I mean, yeah, you can throw chalk on your hands and throw it on your body, but the sandbag's dry, it's just going to rub right off, and it's going to be tough to pick up as you continually do it for reps. So we've been doing that. we've been taking the sandbag and loading it to a higher height than 52 inches, mainly because it's, again, hard to grip. We're working on our triple extension just like we would with any normal loading exercise, and putting a sandbag in your face is just not fun. And you want to make the sandbag suck as much as possible. Another thing that I like about the sandbag is I've actually pressed a few sandbags in my time, and I'm not going to say that it's an exact replica to a block press because block presses are miserable the one time that I've done them, but it's a good replica if you don't have, let's say, a Mauser block on hand or just a regular piece of stone that you want to press over your head. But also, I like it for sandbag over shoulder. Now, there are going to be some people out there, they're going to be like, why are you doing that CrossFit bullshit? Well, let me tell you, I like all strength sports. I don't care whether it's bodybuilding, powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit, strongman. They all serve their purpose. They all have good and bad things about them. But me personally, one of the things that I like about some CrossFit workouts is the explosiveness, and that translates over to strongman. So I like doing a lot of sandbag over shoulders. And you know what I've done this week alone, I've done sandbag shoulder with all three weights here. We fortunately have a 100. This says 150, but it's actually 165 after weighing it, and then a 220 bag. And I found a way to do a little like circle of death type of deal with several rounds of triples on the sandbag of shoulder. So that was a lot of fun. But then, I mean, you can also do that repetitively using an every minute on the minute style. And I've noticed that ever since I've started doing a lot more sandbag shouldering, that my loading has gotten a lot better, because with the shouldering technique, you have to pick it up a lot higher, and that's going to improve your triple extension as well. So I've noticed a lot of carryover in that regards. And just being able to use my hips in general, like with strongman especially. Yeah, I know that you're going to hear hips, hips, hips a lot when people are telling you to like lock out a deadlift. Guilty as charged in terms of hitching. But at the same time, you can never not work on them enough. And this has definitely helped me, this implement, if you want to call it that, has definitely helped me in terms of using my hips and my legs a lot more than I have in the past. But also the biggest thing that I like about the sandbag is plain and simple. It's just hard. Whether you're good at it or not, whether your body type is kosher with it, it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to be a test of will in terms of how hard you're going to squeeze that thing. When it starts to falter a little bit, how are you going to respond to it? Is it something that's going to make you quit really easily? So for me, just a pure somewhat intimidation factor of seeing something that doesn't have any handles on it is another reason why I like the sandbag. So, in conclusion for me, I think the sandbag is an incredible tool for you to use while you're in quarantine. Obviously, it's a little bit hard for everybody to have one right now because so many people went out and got gym equipment. But if you're fortunate enough to have your gym open, go to the gym and pick up a sandbag. Carry it for a little bit. Don't be afraid to pick it up and put it over something. And don't be afraid to throw it over your shoulder as well. Because you're probably going to realize that you're a lot stronger at it than you think. You can get better at deadlifting with it. You can get better at squatting with it. You can find a way to use a squat variation with it by holding it in front of you and squatting down. You could throw a plate underneath of it and make it target your quads a little bit more by standing on top of the plate. There are so many different things that you can do with a sandbag, which is why it is one of my favorite pieces of strongman equipment.